Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, just a quick warning, my final story today involves an attack on a high school student, in fact, two high school students on a cruise ship. So I'll leave that till the end because it's a very delicate matter. We also have a woman who claims that she was riddled by bed bugs on her last cruise. Also, there is a famous tour boat that runs every day almost in Fort Lauderdale that caused a bit of havoc this week. It must be a very bad week for tour boats, that's for sure, with the horrible incidents that happened in Nassau as well. A woman is reporting that she just came off the P&O Pacific Explorer, and she says she ended up being riddled with bed bugs, severe sores, and if you take a look at the pictures, the beginning of the bed bugs biting and then what it turns into, because it goes over time, right? It's like almost like a secretion and everything that gets under your skin, and then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, like a big rash, and very, very painful, very, very sore if you get a lot of bed bugs, which is, of course, the hotel industries and hospitals and everything keep a really close eye out on. But she's claiming that when she was on this ship, around the end of her cruise, she started noticing these bites on the tips of her fingers and down near her feet. And by the end of the cruise, she had noticed they were basically covering her entire torso. When she got home, it got even worse and swelled right up, and she needed to get some treatment. Now, when she contacted P&O Cruise Line about this, she basically was saying she wanted them to warn the passengers coming on the next cruise. She realized what they were and said, hey, check, I think people need to be very careful on there. And P&O responded saying that they will investigate, which they claim they've done, and they said that they were happy to find out that there was no infestation found in the cabin or on the ship. Okay, because of the stringent cleaning system that they use, especially it's a very potent disinfectant, once people leave the cabin. It's not done while you're in the cabin, but it is done when people leave the cabin. It's often sprayed down, and that is possible that those could have gotten rid of the bed bugs. Also possible that some of those bed bugs were in the suitcase that she took home with her as well, right? That's where sometimes they've come from. Sometimes it's not on the cruise ship. Sometimes it's in your hotel room that you catch them, and they crawl into your suitcase. You don't know about it until all of a sudden they multiply and spread in the room cabin once you get there. And that's why possibly it took 8 days for her to start noticing the bed bugs. But P&O did offer her an $800 reimbursement on her cruise and apologized for any inconvenience she may have had, which she accepted. She wasn't blaming the cruise line at all. Stuff like this can happen, but it's hard to say if it came from the cruise ship or it came from a hotel or even from somebody's home. I'm not saying that it came from this woman. I'm just saying it can come from lots of different places. It can come from a taxi, that you put your luggage in, that is an unclean taxi. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, bed bugs. I check for bed bugs on every hotel stay and every cruise I go on. There's a way to do it. You can YouTube it and find out, just so maybe this doesn't happen to you on a cruise. We also have a very popular tour cruise, pre-cruise if you will, post-cruise, nightlife type system called the Carri B Cruises. And if you've been in Fort Lauderdale for any length of time, you've probably seen these going up and down the river. They do those billionaire cruises where you can tour out and look at the rich houses that you can never afford right beside the ocean and the cruise ports out in Fort Lauderdale. Some amazing, amazing houses out there. And it's called the Spirit of Venice Cruise is what they call it. I'm not sure why, but I'm sure I haven't been on it, so maybe if I'm on it, I would realize why they call it. But unfortunately, she broke away from her moorings and ended up heading down those rivers, and yeah, it started banging into other ships docked along the side, finally coming to rest against one yacht where two people were sleeping down below, and they're woken up to a big thud coming into their hull of their ship. When they run up, they see the Carri B is up there going like this from the wind and the waves up against their yacht. So yeah, finally some tugs came down and did grab a hold of it and got her back to her moorings and that, but she did cause a little bit of damage going up and down the river. It's just a bad week for tour boats going on, and especially after that tragedy that happened in Nassau. Absolutely wild. Okay, next I have that story that I warned you about earlier about an incident that happened on a cruise ship. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from the bad stories to the good stories to the funny stories to the news and the new ships that are coming online, which I'm on next Tuesday, the brand new Celebrity Ascent. Not a lot of buzz about this ship, and I'm a little bit surprised because there was a lot of buzz about the Celebrity Beyond, so I can't wait to get on board and tell you what's different about this ship and if it's worth cruising on board. If you hit the subscribe button, really helps the channel out, but it doesn't cost a single thing. It's just a simple click, and I really do appreciate it. Okay, the next story comes very disturbing. It comes from a Costa cruise ship, where a group of school children, high school students, were traveling with teachers on board this experience on a Costa cruise ship. I believe it's the Costa Smeralda. And when they were touring around on their way from Marseille to Barcelona, one of the girls was leaving one of the bars or nightclub areas, walking by, when she was accosted by not just one person, but a gang of men. And she was groped and assaulted. That's as far as I'm going to go. Another girl was also a classmate of hers, was also attempted to be grabbed, but she managed to break free and get away before anything happened to her. Now, both girls immediately emailed their parents and told them what happened, and the parents immediately contacted the ship, and the teachers contacted the ship, but it doesn't seem like a whole lot happened at that point. However, the ship did contact the local police force, and they boarded the ship and questioned people on board, as well as looked at the closed circuit TV footage. And when they finally arrived in Barcelona, the entire group of men were arrested and charged with sexual assault. So yeah, horrific story. And the parents are calling foul on the cruise line as well, because nobody went to talk to the girls after this traumatic experience. No one looked after them. The parents weren't notified by the cruise line, apparently. This is what they're saying. I'm not saying this is what happened. She said one girl from the cruise line said, employee from the cruise line said that they would talk to the girl the next morning, and no one ever showed up to talk to them again. And yeah, it's a horrible story. Imagine, you're sending your young daughters off on the cruise with teachers and everything. It's a field trip type thing, and we do it all the time, right? How many times do high school students and that head off to places like Paris and Rome on these beautiful trips that are meant to be a learning experience and a cultural experience, and then something like this happens, and I hope those guys get locked away and thrown in jail and never heard from again. It looks like it was pretty obvious what happened on the closed circuit TV. So yeah, well, let me know in the comments down below. Do you think they should be locked away for life? I do. I'm that kind of person. But also, how about spending a glorious time on a beautiful cruise ship and coming home and you find out you've been covered in bed bugs. Ugh. Ugh, is all I can say. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world. Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.